If we continue through the progression of RPI, when faced with a communication challenge or opportunity, after we've researched, we'd have to start thinking about planning considerations. Now, our planning considerations could very well include who is receiving the message. In this instance, we're looking at audience. Now, Wilcox and Cameron define audience as an intermingling of groups with diverse attributes whose interests coincide at times and conflict at others. In other words, audiences are composed of diverse groups, different populations. And we've talked about how the filter may be responsible in the communication model for bringing up diverse attitudes, beliefs, and predispositions towards certain ideas or certain initiatives. So while audience is a very general umbrella term to talk about those receiving a message, if you're looking at certain populations in which an organization is targeting within the audience, sometimes those are called publics. And if you think about publics that have a direct impact on an organizational mission or objectives, often we use the word stakeholders. But the point here is that if we're trying to communicate effectively, we need to get to know how our audience thinks or what our audience knows or what they believe in. So sometimes we use this acronym KAB that stands for knowledge, attitudes, and beliefs. So in short, if we understand that an organization is attempting to promote a message that does not align with the beliefs of an audience group, then either that's going to be ineffective communication or the organization has to think about a way in which it can convey a message that does align with the beliefs of an audience for it to be effective. One of the examples of an organization that has brought an enlarged mentality to its audience segmentation would be McDonald's. If we think about a typical McDonald's consumer, usually that consumer does not have as much of a concern with health and nutrition as other potential, or we can use the term latent audiences. And so McDonald's had always been thinking about ways to roll out different options that go beyond the traditional burgers and fries. So beyond the core product offering at McDonald's, and think about ways in which you can do that effectively. So in the planning of a rollout of a campaign, let's say for what has come to known as favorites under 400 calories, McDonald's would need to understand different audience segments. And so ways in which it can do that would be to look at lifestyles, to answer questions why certain audiences choose McDonald's over other organizations, to look at attitudes toward different food options. And so in 2013, when McDonald's was thinking about ways in which it could roll out this campaign, it decided to segment its population across 4 different categories. And you can see here, starting with the quick biters, it looked at some demographic information. It looked at some ways in which or reasons why different people of that population would elect to choose McDonald's. We also had the McLoyalists, and that was a fun way of describing those who are always going to be loyal to McDonald's. Where do they find information? Are they serving as third-party endorsements, meaning that they're basically influencers spreading the good word of McDonald's? Children has always been a very important audience with McDonald's, and we can look back to the idea of McDonald's as a play place, the association between characters and the McDonald's experience, as well as birthday parties and Happy Meals. And then, of course, it's the audience that we'd call latent, meaning that there's potential, but McDonald's would really have to change its messaging and reshape some perceptions of the brand to make sure that this last healthy latent group would be of interest to McDonald's. And so by uncovering through research some of the KABs of the latent, healthy latents, you start to see the types of foods that this group enjoys consuming. You start to see where they find information and some of their lifestyles. So from McDonald's point of view, it could set up a communication campaign that said, okay, we have this great new food offering that extends beyond the traditional McDonald's offering. And so our goal is to positively align healthy latent attitudes with the mission of McDonald's and its favorites under 400 offerings by the end of the 2013 year. And so by setting up an objective, now McDonald's has to think about its audience being the healthy latents as the targeted or primary audience, and then incorporate communicative channels that can roll out this campaign that would really resonate with that particular segment. After the CAM is rolled out, we can certainly issue a type of Likert type scale survey that would ask the audience if they agree with some of the statements related to the association between McDonald's as a place in which there are healthier options beyond the traditional burger and fries fare. So with that brief breakdown of audiences, KABs, the role that the filter plays in diverse attitudes and beliefs that audiences maintain, I'd like you to move forward with case study 3, which talks about understanding your audiences. So keep in mind some of the reasons or rationale as to why different audiences maintain different perspectives, and see if you can't build out some reflective responses to the questions posed in this case study. Make sure that you complete the case study before moving on to the next section.